to allow access to our facilities when they are not being used by the students.
And then could you please comment about the days of use at our other high schools? The one comment was at Clayton Valley High School, there's a limit of 104 evenings of lighted use. Can you provide me some further information regarding, it would be Clayton Valley and Northgate?
Correct. I'm not sure exactly what those two, I would venture to say that the information that the gentleman had was accurate. Usually what that use is a combination of the events that the site would like to use that facility with a potential lighting need over the course of the year. It doesn't mean that they're going to have 170, but there's the potential to have 170 on the YV report.
There were several questions about how the district would manage the use and what do I want to say, the compliance with the proposed elements that we're discussing. And my other question, so how would we be working on that? And then the other question would be, if the site wished to increase the number of nights of use, how is the community notified, or how does that process happen?
I can answer the question on any changes to the EIR, and Mr. Clore can add to that if he'd like to do, but any change to the document that the board takes action on at a future board date, anything that changes that would require additional board action, and usually requires either a supplemental or a change to the EIR. So there's additional CEQA processing that goes in place once the board certifies the existing EIR.
Returning to Ms. Mayo's question around the 170 nights, can you either now or prior to the next board meeting provide some background as why is this at 170 if those other numbers are correct? Why is there that discrepancy, or what are the extra nights needed for?
The site came up with a list that is included in the EIR on what they anticipate the use of the field to be. There could be a discrepancy based on how they intend to use the field. They may intend to use it for track and field. Some of the other high schools may not use the facility for the same types of things over that same duration. So it's really a site-based decision. We'd like to use it for this many days.
And can you speak to the outreach efforts, and specifically community outreach efforts in Pepper Tree and in the Savannah areas?
I probably don't have real good information on that based on some discussions that I had, some informal discussions. It's my understanding that not necessarily this year, but in years past, the local administration had also reached out to the community, invited the community to attend some of those initial discussions related to the lights. How far that extended, I wouldn't have any idea on how far out they went with flyers or electronic media.
How does that typically work, and who's responsible for the outreach to the community? Is that at a district level, or is that at a site level?
It's usually at a site level. From a CEQA process, we're required to provide that information, and that's usually at a certain number of public libraries or depositories that we provide the documentation to. By doing that, we meet the state law concerning CEQA. Yes, there any additional information based on that would be beyond the CEQA process, so that would be usually a site-based effort.
Mrs. Oaks? I have questions. I have a lot of questions.
Are they technical in nature? Should we invite Mr. Clore back up?
They may be. I'm not sure if they're... one of them, you did a lot of work with the sound level decibels, and I went to the site and walked it, and I wasn't sure about the sound wall, and then I looked at the pictures. The sound wall only goes the extent of the visitor bleachers. That sound is going to go around those bleachers. I mean, that sound wall. And I didn't see anything in the report that talked about how the sound was going to differ from 4 houses that the sound wall is in front of versus the sound going around. I was thinking, oh, the sound wall is going to go the whole length of the field, and then, well, that's not happening. So how is that sound going to affect those houses that are so right there?
I'm going to ask my colleague, Phil Alt, who came to the meeting tonight as well, and I'm so pleased that you asked a technical question about noise, because now I can involve him and his time
I
with the
see,
noise.
not here.
Phil, please come up here.
And folded into that, I don't know if it's gonna relate to what he wants to say, but the concerns I've heard from the community that sound wall is on the visitor side, not on the home side, and that there's a discrepancy between the two, so it depends on which side of which side you live on.
My guess is that Phil, who will talk about this in real technical terms as an acoustical specialist, will talk about the fact that distances are involved here, and that sound really does attrit quite a bit over space, and that sound really doesn't go like wind around a wall like that and come back in. But let's see what he says, both about the length of the sound wall, as well as whether a similar wall could conceivably be useful over on the home side in order to protect the Savannah Court residents from noise.
Thank you for letting us come here and talk this. Again, my name is Philip Alt, and I was the one who did the noise analysis for this project. Let me begin by explaining that sound does travel in just a geometric spreading nature. So if I make a sound here, it travels in almost like globe forms, just out and expanding into the room, okay? And that's the same as it is going to be out there on the field. Having said that, though, sound does travel, like if it hits this wall over here, it's going to bounce back. It will be directed by solid surfaces, and to some degree absorbed by those surfaces as well. So in regards to, first of all, the nature of the noise impact that we analyzed is analyzing the crowd noise in the visitors' bleachers, as well as the crowd noise that would have been occurring in the home bleachers. The home bleachers are located at such a distance from the residences to the Savannah side of the project, that if that's the correct side, the Savannah side of the project, that the distance, the noise attenuation, let me back up just one second, as the sound expands, it loses energy, and so with every doubling of distance that the sound expands, it loses 6 decibels of energy. So 6 decibels is almost cutting the energy, what perceived sound level to be almost in half. So the distance of those bleachers, the home bleachers from the Savannah Court side, it would actually attenuate to below existing noise levels from current school use events. However, on the visitor side, the expanded use of the bleachers, the expanded PA system on that side, which is so close to the residents, on the Great Court side of the school there, the impact is, it would be felt. And so with the speakers, the design is specifically laid out that the speakers themselves must be directionally focused toward the field, as well as with the sound wall. The sound wall will effectively not only block the sound from coming directly behind the bleachers, but again, if you can picture the effect of a wall, and it is expanding, like in a circular shape like that, it's not going to wrap around. It would, at the very most, from the very front corner of whatever spectators are sitting in that corner, that sound could be directionally focused at an angle past that to the homes, to either end of the bleachers. But again, it's the distance issue there that comes into play, that because of the distance from the source of the people in the stands to those homes and the angle that would occur, the sound actually attenuates down to the levels that we have here in the report.
So it's fair to say, I think, that we did take account of the likely sound level at the homes that exist just beyond the edge of the sound wall. And due to the way the sound propagates, as well as the simple distance from